Welcome to our deep dive into the world of muzzle-loading firearms.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine, like, the smell of black powder in the air.
Right.
That meticulous process of loading the history echoing with each shot.
Mm-hmm.
You've brought some fascinating source material.
I did.
Training manuals, historical insights, the whole works.
Yes.
So let's unlock the secrets of these amazing firearms.
You got it. I think there is a certain mystique to muzzleloaders.
Oh, yeah.
A real tangible link to the past,
Yeah.
It's not just about the mechanics. It's
Right.
about the experience, the craftsmanship,
Yeah.
the satisfaction of mastering a skill that demands such precision.
Absolutely, like stepping back in time.
Exactly.
And speaking of things that take us back, let's talk black powder.
Okay.
Our sources mention these different types.
Mm-hmm.
FFFFG.
Right.
What's the story with all those letters?
Well, those letters refer to the granulation or the size of the powder grains.
Okay.
Think of it like a chef selecting spices. Coarser grinds for a slow, smoky flavor.
Right.
Finer grinds for that burst of intense heat.
Okay.
F is your coarse grind. FFF is the superfine powder,
Got it.
each designed for a specific purpose.
So choosing the right black powder is like creating the perfect recipe for your firearm.
That's a good way to put it.
And I'm guessing using the wrong type could lead to some explosive results.
Oh, you could say that.
Yeah.
One of our sources specifically warns against using FFFFg,
Okay.
the finest grade, also known as priming powder, as the main charge.
Okay.
It's designed for igniting the main charge and using it in the barrel.
Yeah.
Could be disastrous.
What's pressure?
Too much pressure too fast.
Yikes. It's amazing how something seemingly simple like powder size can make such a difference.
It is.
And speaking of sensitivity, one of the manuals mentioned that even static electricity can set this stuff off.
Oh, yeah.
Is that really true?
Absolutely. Black powder is incredibly sensitive, especially the finer grades.
Wow.
It's essentially explosive history in your hands. So careful handling is crucial. Sparks flames.
Right.
Even the seemingly harmless static from your clothes can ignite it.
Really?
It's a powerful reminder that we're dealing with a force of nature here.
I am definitely getting a newfound respect for this stuff.
Good.
So let's say we got our black powder. We're being super careful.
Okay.
How do we even know if our muzzle loader is already loaded?
That's a great question.
You can't exactly peek down the barrel.
No, you don't want to do that. And it highlights a key difference between muzzleloaders and modern firearms.
Right.
You have to be absolutely sure whether it's loaded or not before even thinking about adding a charge.
Right.
Luckily, our ancestors are clever folks.
Yeah.
They developed a simple but ingenious solution. The marked ramrod.
A marked ramrod. What's that?
It's basically a ramrod with a mark etched at a specific length.
Okay.
You insert it down the barrel, and if it reaches that mark, you know it's empty.
Oh,
Simple but effective.
that's brilliant. No need to risk peeking down the barrel.
Nope.
Okay, so we've checked, and it's safe to load.
Right.
Talk me through the process.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a lot more to it than just pouring in some powder and shoving in a bullet.
Oh, there is. It's a multi-step process that demands precision and attention to detail.
Yeah.
First, you measure out the exact amount of black powder using a volumetric measure.
Okay.
This ensures consistency and prevents dangerous overloads.
Gotcha.
Then you carefully pour the measured powder down the muzzle.
Why not just pour it straight from the container? Seems easier.
Oh, that's a recipe for disaster.
Okay.
Imagine accidentally spilling powder all over the place, or worse, pouring too much directly into the barrel.
Right.
The volumetric measure is there for safety and consistency.
Right.
It's all about controlled, deliberate actions.
Controlled delivered actions. Got it.
Yeah.
So we've got our measured powder in the barrel.
All right.
What's next?
Next comes seating the ball or bullet.
Okay.
This often involved using a lubricated patch to create a tight seal and ensure consistent performance. Imagine it like packing a suitcase. You want everything snug and secure. No room for shifting or movement.
It's like a little puzzle fitting everything together just right.
Exactly.
You can really sense the history and craftsmanship involved in each step.
Mm-hmm.
But after all that careful loading, there's one part of this whole process that doesn't sound quite as glamorous cleaning.
Right.
Why is it so crucial with muzzle loaders?
Well, cleaning a muzzleloader isn't just about keeping it in good shape.
Okay.
It's about preventing potentially disastrous consequences down the line.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about black powder being corrosive?
I do.
Well, if you don't clean it thoroughly after each use, it attracts moisture, which leads to rust.
Yeah.
And rust in the barrel of a firearm is never a good thing.
So if you skip cleaning, it could actually be dangerous the next time you use it.
That's a good way to put it.
Wow.
Improper cleaning can also lead to carbon buildup,
Oh, wow.
creating a dangerous situation upon reloading.
Like an ember almost.
Yeah, it's like leaving a smoldering ember in the barrel just waiting to ignite unexpectedly.
Okay, I'm officially convinced cleaning is non-negotiable.
Good.
So what's the best way to go about it?
The recommended methods involve either hot soapy water or a commercial black powder solvent,
Okay.
both used with a ramrod and cleaning patches.
Okay.
You basically want to loosen and remove all the residue, dry the barrel thoroughly, and then apply a good coat of gun oil to protect it.
It's like a ritual, a way of showing respect for the firearm and ensuring its longevity.
That's a nice way to look at it.
Speaking of respect, let's talk about some of those essential do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
The kind of wisdom that can make all the difference when handling a muzzleloader.
Okay.
What are the absolute must-dos in your book?
The most important thing is to treat any firearm, especially a muzzleloader, with the utmost respect.
All right.
Before even thinking about firing an older muzzleloader, have it checked by a qualified gunsmith.
Oh, good point.
This ensures it's safe to use and helps preserve its historical value. And also, always use only black powder or designated black powder substitutes like Pyrodex.
Got it. Safety and respect are paramount.
Yes.
Now hit me with those don'ts, the things that'll make a seasoned muzzleloader enthusiast cringe.
Okay. Never carry a muzzleloader with the hammer at full cock unless you're ready to fire.
Okay.
Seems obvious, but it's a common mistake.
Right.
Also, never lean over or stand in front of the muzzle.
Right.
And never, ever store a muzzleloader with powder in it. It's simply not worth the risk.
All right. Those are some serious don'ts.
They are.
It's clear that muzzleloaders demand a level of awareness and respect that goes beyond modern firearms.
Yeah, you have to be very mindful.
But in a way, that's part of their appeal, isn't it?
Absolutely. Muzzleloaders force us to slow down,
Yeah.
be deliberate in our actions,
Mhm.
and appreciate the history and craftsmanship behind each shot.
Like a meditation.
Yeah, a meditation on patience and precision.
Okay. I think we've laid a solid foundation in this first part of our deep dive.
I agree.
We've explored the unique nature of black powder, the meticulous steps of loading, the crucial importance of cleaning, and those essential safety guidelines. But there's still so much more to uncover.
Oh, there is a lot more to talk
I
about.
can't wait.
Yeah,
So stay tuned. There's much more to come on our muzzleloading journey.
absolutely.
Welcome back to our deep dive into muzzleloading firearms. It's like we've stepped into a time machine surrounded by the history and craftsmanship of these incredible weapons.
Yeah, we're just getting started.
Last time we covered the basics, black powder loading, cleaning, and those all-important safety guidelines.
Right, safety always comes first.
Because safety always comes first.
Uh-huh.
But now I'm ready to explore some of the cooler stuff.
Okay.
Our sources mention all sorts of different muzzleloaders, not just the long rifles you see in movies.
Right.
What other types are out there?
Well, you mentioned long rifles.
Yeah.
And those are certainly iconic. But muzzleloaders come in all shapes and sizes,
Right.
each designed for a specific purpose. One fascinating type is the muzzleloading handgun.
Muzzleloading handguns.
Yeah.
Are we talking about like those old-timey revolvers?
Yes, exactly. Think of those classic cap and ball revolvers.
Okay.
The kind you might picture a gunslinger using in a dusty saloon.
Right.
They're a prime example of muzzleloading technology, but with a twist.
A twist, huh?
Yeah.
So it's not just like a single-shot pistol.
Not at all. Cap and ball revolvers have multiple chambers, each loaded individually with powder and ball.
Wow.
The cap part refers to percussion caps, which were a major innovation in their time.
Okay.
Instead of relying on a flintlock mechanism, you had a self-contained ignition system.
So it's like a multi-shot muzzleloader.
Yeah.
That must have been a game changer back then.
Imagine the advantage in a self-defense situation, or even in hunting.
Right.
Having multiple shots ready to go without having to reload each time.
Yeah.
That was a huge leap forward in firearms technology.
I can see why they were so popular.
Yeah.
It's amazing how these innovations shaped history.
Well,
Speaking of shaping things, let's talk projectiles.
okay.
We've mentioned round balls, but our sources also talk about some other options. What are some of the different projectiles you can fire from a muzzleloader?
Well, you're right. Round balls were the go-to choice for a long time.
Right.
But over the years, people experimented with different shapes and designs, trying to improve accuracy, range, effectiveness. One innovation that really stands out is the mini ball.
The mini ball.
That makes it so special. It's a conical, cylindrical projectile with a hollow base.
Okay.
That might not sound revolutionary, but the magic happens when it's fired.
Okay.
The expanding gases push the hollow base outward, creating a tight seal in the barrel and imparting spin for greater accuracy.
So it's like a more aerodynamic and efficient design compared to a simple round ball?
Precisely.
Ah.
The mini ball was a game changer, especially for rifles.
Okay.
It allowed for greater accuracy at longer ranges,
Right.
which had a huge impact on military tactics and hunting strategies.
It's fascinating how something as simple as the shape of a projectile can make such a difference.
It really is.
Are there any other projectiles we should know about?
Well, we can't forget about shot.
Oh, rush shot.
It's essentially what we know today as pellets.
Okay.
Small lead balls used primarily for shotguns.
Gotcha.
They're perfect for hunting birds or small game where you need a spread pattern instead of the single projectile.
So it's like choosing the right tool for the job.
Yeah.
Round balls for single targets, mini balls for accuracy at range,
Yep.
and shot for a wider spread. And I bet there are even more specialized projectiles out there.
Oh, you're absolutely right. There's a whole world of specialized muzzle-loading projectiles, each designed for a specific purpose.
Wow.
But one modern innovation deserves a special mention.
Sabots.
Sabots, what are those?
They're basically plastic or synthetic carriers that allow you to fire different types of bullets from a muzzleloader.
Interesting.
Imagine firing a modern bullet designed for a cartridge firearm from a traditional muzzleloader.
Right. That's what sabots make possible.
Wow, that sounds almost like a hybrid approach, bridging the gap between traditional muzzleloading and modern ammunition.
You got it.
What are the benefits of using sabots?
Well, sabots allow for greater versatility, and they can significantly improve performance, particularly for long-range shooting.
Okay.
They also open up a wider range of bullet options, including modern hunting billets designed for specific game animals.
It's amazing how muzzleloading technology continues to evolve, blending tradition with innovation.
It is.
Okay, so we've talked types and projectiles.
Yep.
I'm ready for some more of those essential DOs and don'ts.
Okay.
What are some other crucial things to keep in mind when handling and loading a muzzleloader?
Here's one that often gets overlooked.
Okay.
When you're loading your muzzleloader, make absolutely sure that the ball or bullet is seated firmly on the powder charge.
Right.
You don't want any air gaps in there.
Why is that so important? What could happen if there's a gap?
Think of it like trying to start a fire with loosely packed kindling. You need that solid contact between the powder and the projectile for consistent ignition and performance.
Gotcha.
An air gap can cause all sorts of problems.
Like what?
Misfires,
Okay.
reduced accuracy, and even potentially dangerous pressure buildup.
Wow.
It's like trying to run a marathon with a pebble in your shoe.
Right.
It might seem like a small thing, but it can have a big impact.
Makes sense. It's all about creating that perfect chain reaction.
Yep.
From the spark to the powder to the projectile.
Exactly.
Any other crucial DOs we should keep in mind?
Here's one that's especially important for those using black powder revolvers.
Okay.
Always place a small amount of grease in front of each projectile to prevent chain firing.
Chain firing. That sounds terrifying.
It can be.
Yeah.
Chain firing happens when the ignition of one chamber accidentally sets off the other loaded chamber simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
Imagine firing all the cylinders of a revolver at once.
Oh, my gosh.
It can be incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
And is usually caused by sparks or hot debris jumping between the nipples.
So the grease acts as a barrier,
Mm.
preventing that accidental ignition.
Exactly. It's a simple precaution that can make a huge difference in safety.
I am definitely filing that one away under essential muzzleloader knowledge.
Good.
Any other don'ts we should be aware of? Things that would make even a seasoned muzzleloader enthusiast cringe?
Here's a big one, especially if you're dealing with a multi-barreled muzzleloader or a revolver.
Okay.
Never load one barrel or chamber unless the percussion caps on the other nipples have been removed.
So it's like a double check
Yeah.
to make absolutely sure that only the intended barrel or chamber is primed and ready to fire.
Precisely. It's an extra layer of safety to prevent accidental discharges.
Right.
Remember, with muzzleloaders, you don't have a safety switch to rely on.
Right.
It's all about deliberate actions and multiple layers of precaution.
It really highlights the point that muzzleloaders demand a different mindset compared to modern firearms. It's not just about pointing and shooting. It's about careful handling and deliberate actions every step of the way.
You got it. And that mindset extends beyond just loading and firing.
Right.
Think about transporting a muzzleloader.
Right.
It should never be transported with powder in the barrel.
Right.
Even if it's not primed, it's considered loaded.
Right. It's about minimizing risk at every stage and treating the firearm with the respect it deserves. But what about those times when things don't go as planned? What happens if you pull the trigger and nothing?
That's a misfire, and it's something every muzzleloader shooter might encounter at some point.
Right.
But here's the crucial thing to remember.
Okay.
Always treat a misfire as a potential hang fire.
A hang fire.
Yeah.
What's that?
A hang fire means the powder might still ignite, just with a delay.
Oh.
It's like a fuse that's burning slowly. You never know when it might reach the end.
So you can't just assume it's safe to immediately start checking the firearm.
Absolutely not. The golden rule with a muzzleloader misfire is to wait at least 60 seconds with the firearm pointed in a safe direction before even thinking about approaching it.
Wow, 60 seconds seems like an eternity when you're standing there with a misfire.
It does.
But I guess it's better to be safe than sorry.
Always better to be safe than sorry. And while we're on the topic of safety, let's not forget the basics.
Okay.
Always wear safety glasses and hearing protection when firing any firearm, especially a muzzleloader.
Right. Safety gear is non-negotiable.
It is. The sound and pressure of a black powder blast can be intense.
Any other tips specifically for muzzleloaders?
Here's one that applies to multi-barreled muzzleloaders.
Okay.
Always reseat your second charge after firing and reloading a single barrel.
Okay.
The recoil from the first shot can sometimes loosen or shift the charge in the other barrel, affecting accuracy and potentially causing problems.
So it's another reminder that muzzleloaders require constant attention to detail even after you've fired a shot. There's always something to keep in mind, something to double check.
Yeah, that's part of the beauty and the challenge of muzzleloading.
Right.
It's a hands-on experience that demands both skill and constant awareness.
You're right. It's not just about pointing and shooting. It's about understanding the firearm, respecting its power, and being mindful of every detail. I'm really starting to appreciate the depth and complexity of this whole world. What else is there to explore in the world of muzzleloading?
Well, we've covered a lot of the technical aspects, but there's another dimension we need to talk about.
Okay.
The ethical side of muzzleloading.
Ethical considerations.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And we'll delve into that along with some inspiring stories and resources in the final part of our deep dive.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the world of muzzleloaders.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground black, powder loading, cleaning, different types, even those crucial safety tips. It's been quite an education.
It has. We've really dug deep into the mechanics and history of these fascinating firearms, but I think there's another dimension we need to explore.
Okay.
The ethical side of muzzleloading.
Ethical considerations.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you mention it, I'm realizing that we haven't really touched on that yet. What kind of ethical aspects come into play with muzzleloading?
Well, think about the activities that are often associated with muzzleloaders.
Okay.
Things like hunting and historical reenactment.
Right.
Those activities bring with them certain responsibilities
Yeah, I get
that
it.
go beyond just knowing how to load and fire a firearm.
So it's about more than just the mechanics. It's about understanding the broader context and the impact of our actions.
Exactly. Take hunting, for example.
Okay.
Using a muzzleloader for hunting can be a much more challenging and intimate experience than hunting with modern firearms. It often requires a deeper understanding of the animal, the environment, and the principles of fair chase.
So it's about honoring the traditions of sportsmanship and respecting the animal you're hunting, right?
Precisely. And that same sense of respect extends to historical reenactment as well.
Okay.
It's not just about dressing up and firing muskets.
Right.
It's about accurately and respectfully portraying a specific time period, understanding the context of those historical events, and handling firearms in a way that reflects the practices of that era.
So it's like stepping into the shoes of someone from the past, not just putting on a costume. And safety plays a crucial role here too, right? Not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us.
Absolutely. Safety is always paramount.
Of course.
But in historical reenactment, it takes on an even greater significance. We have a responsibility to handle these firearms with the utmost care and to ensure that our actions don't endanger ourselves or anyone else.
Right. It's about respecting the history, the people, and the traditions that we're trying to portray.
Okay.
Okay, I'm really starting to see how muzzleloading goes far beyond just the technical aspects. It's about history, respect, responsibility, and a whole set of ethical considerations that guide our actions. It's really fascinating. So once you've embraced those ethical considerations, what are some practical things we need to know about caring for and maintaining our muzzleloaders?
One of the most important things is proper storage.
Okay.
Always remember, never store a muzzleloader with powder in it.
Right.
And even when it's unloaded, you want to keep it in a safe, dry place away from moisture and extreme temperatures.
So it's kind of like a classic car. You wouldn't leave it out in the elements, would you?
Exactly. Muzzleloaders are often beautiful, intricate pieces of craftsmanship, and they deserve to be treated with care. And speaking of care, Regular cleaning is crucial not just after firing, but periodically throughout the year, especially if your muzzleloader has been exposed to humidity.
Right, we talked about the cleaning process earlier, but it's worth emphasizing that it's an ongoing responsibility, not just a one-time chore.
Exactly. Think of it as preventative maintenance.
Mm,
A little effort goes a long way in preserving the condition and functionality of your muzzleloader.
absolutely. So we've covered safety ethics and maintenance. What about resources for someone who's intrigued by muzzleloading and wants to learn more? Where should they start?
Well, the National Muzzleloading Rifle Association is a fantastic resource.
Okay.
They offer a wealth of information, host events, and provide a supportive community for muzzleloading enthusiasts of all levels.
And I'm guessing there are local clubs and groups as well.
Absolutely. Local clubs are a great way to connect with experienced shooters, get hands-on guidance, and really immerse yourself in the muzzleloading community.
Sounds like muzzleloading is more than just a hobby. It's a gateway to history, craftsmanship, and a whole community of passionate individuals.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's a journey of discovery, skill building, and connection to a rich heritage.
This deep dive has been an incredible journey. We've gone from the basics of black powder to the ethical considerations of handling, from the mechanics of loading to the importance of community. It's clear the muzzleloaders are much more than just firearms. They're tangible links to the past, testaments to human ingenuity, and sources of ongoing fascination and challenge. It's been a real pleasure exploring this world with you.
I agree. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I encourage you to reflect on what resonates most with you about muzzleloading. Is it the history, the craftsmanship, the challenge, or perhaps that sense of connection to a bygone era? Whatever sparks your interest. I hope this deep dive has equipped you with the knowledge and inspiration to explore further.
Beautifully said. Thanks for joining us on this adventure into the world of muzzleloaders. Until next time,